The mine is a restoration project, essentially. It's just a hobby. It's something we come down and do at weekends. There's no commercial end game to it. It's about restoring the mine to what it was like when it last worked. And what really started off as nothing special in a way, because there are a number of mines working back in the 70s when we started here, has ended up being, I guess, kind of a unique place, because there are not many mines now that you can get access to and that give you a sort of reasonably realistic view of what old mines must have been like.
And tell us how old this mine is and how many men would have worked it.
From what we know, this is sort of typical of a lot of very small mines in Cornwall. Bearing in mind there are over 2,000 mines working at various times during the 19th century. This is really at the bottom end of those mines. We think work started here probably as early as the 18th century in a part of the mine called Wheel Chance. What we do know is that this bit of the mine was reopened in the 1900s, about 1909, and it was gradually built up because there was a sort of boom in the tin price at that time. They were hoping to develop the mine, and I think they had it almost running when the First World War started, and the mine closed. The miners went off to fight. The mine was put onto care and maintenance during the war with the hope that they could reopen it once the war was over. The problem was, I think, there were so few miners left after the end of the First World War that they struggled to get people to work here. And in fact, the mine was abandoned effectively in about 1918. So they pulled all the equipment out of it, and it remained abandoned until we came along in the early 70s. I say we, the group came along to try and restore this in the early 70s.
And it's incredible what you've done, because there's only a group of about 7 of you, aren't there? And you've removed how much rubble and material?
God, over the years, many hundreds of tons of stuff we've taken out. And it's not through collapses, it's mainly through what they call deads, which is waste material that's been left behind in the mine rather than taken out. And that's been supported on old timbers. And of course, over the 100 years the mine's been abandoned, the timbers have rotted and all this dead material has come down the floor. So we've had to take that out to get access to the mine. But yeah, there's been a lot of it.
And tell us about where we're actually stood now in relation to the mine, in relation to the geography outside as well.
Okay, so we're in what's called the top level, number 1 level. We are about 600 feet from the entrance, and we're about 150 foot below surface because we've gone straight into the hillside. So the unusual thing about this mine is that you can walk into it and effectively walk into the bottom of it, whereas in most mines in Cornwall you've got to go down shafts, and of course all the deeper workings are flooded. So we don't have any of that problem here. And it's in granite, it's totally Penwith granite, so support's reasonably good. We've got, because this level connects to the level below, we've got a continuous airflow going through, so there's natural ventilation through the mine. So again, we don't have to worry about radon, and we don't have to worry about pumping water out of the mine because it all just naturally flows out through the tunnels. So as a sort of, if you wanted a hobby mine to do something in relatively cheaply, this is probably as good as it gets. But even nowadays, it's expensive to keep it going.
And there's the $1 million question is, you say it's expensive to keep going. Could this mine make you and the farmer owns the land millions from the tin down here?
No, it's been, from what we've seen of it, there's still tin in here for certain, but there's not economic amounts of it that would warrant reopening it again as a commercial mine, especially nowadays. And also the difficulty of how you would work it under modern day mining methods. The old sort of very manually driven methods of working these narrow vertical loads is gone. It's all sort of highly mechanised now and automated. So I think on its own, no, even with a small group of people, and then what do you do with the material you do get out? You've got to get it processed somewhere. Well, that costs money. So unfortunately, as much as it might be a nice dream, no, it never happened.
But it's a brilliant piece of Cornish history that you're keeping alive.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a really special place, for certain.